Yeah, a question for the First Minister. You mentioned the issue of disinformation. Is saying a trans woman is a woman disinformation?
Well, that issue has been settled by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has given us the basis in law for that to be the case, and that is what I accept.
Okay. You said a few moments ago that a trans woman is a woman.
Well,
your colleague that you're sharing a platform with at an anti-disinformation summit transmitted what some people regard as disinformation. Do you regard what he said as disinformation?
And I'm setting out to you that I think this issue is settled by the conclusions of the Supreme Court judgment that was made the other day.
You mentioned the Supreme Court is describing the Supreme Court as a source of prejudice, bigotry and hatred, disinformation.
I think it is wrong to do that, because at no stage should we question the independence of the judiciary and the judicial system, because it operates in everybody's interests in an entirely neutral fashion in accordance with the rule of law. Okay, now, Tom.
It's a super quick one. We saw circulated earlier a draft communique, a text you're asking people to sign. Did you all manage to sign it?
Yes. Okay.
I mean, one of the areas of perhaps the deepest contention in Scottish politics recently has been the issue of gender. I wonder if I could just ask all the panel a simple yes or no question, which is, in your view, are trans women women? I don't know if we could start with Ms Regan, maybe.
Sure, thank you. Well, as we've heard from the Supreme Court last week in that absolute landmark ruling, trans women are not legally women, and that has large implications right across the public and the third sector in Scotland. My view on this is that I was very disappointed yesterday with what the government set out in their statement, because I still felt that the people that had risked so much of their reputations, and I would obviously include 4 Women Scotland, but there are many other women and some men that have done that, you know, have put a lot on the line for this, are still being patronised and are still being talked down to as if somehow we weren't, you know, the ones that were right about this thing all along. The government need to take leadership on this now. They can't wait any longer. Women are being impacted on this up and down the country. You know, the best example of that recently, obviously, is the Sandy Peggy case in Fife. These cases shouldn't be continuing, and the government need to draw a line in the sand now. I believe they need to apologise to the women of Scotland for what has gone on and the nonsense that has been perpetuated onto the country, so that we're able to rebuild that, and then we can continue to, I think, maybe perhaps reset the relationship. I think this has had a damaging effect on the institutions of Scotland, particularly the government, but also the Parliament as well.
Okay, I think I don't think we've got the space for us all to answer the question.
Well, given your First Minister,
there'll be plenty of opportunities for us. Patrick.
I think one word of balance might be helpful. My short answer to your initial question is yes, but it's not difficult for you to find issues that there'll be political disagreement about on a whole range of different issues on the people on this panel and beyond. The issue that's brought us here together is far more important than that, far more profound than that. And a great many of the people who took part in today's discussion talked about the way in which the marginalisation and stigmatisation of individual minority groups, many of whom feel deeply afraid at the moment because of what's happened in the last couple of weeks, that can lead to even worse. And we see that in the US, where what began in many ways as demonising very small marginalised minorities has become a full-on ideological purge. The threat to our democracy goes far beyond any one particular issue, and it goes beyond the disagreements that we might have amongst this group about those particular political issues. The threat to our democracy is that we end up in this country with something every bit as dangerous as what is happening in the US at the moment. And that's what should unite us. Okay, for my part, I accept the statement was given yesterday to Parliament by the Social Justice Secretary, which represents my position, the government's position, that we accept unreservedly the Supreme Court judgment. And as a consequence of that, we have actions to take in relation to the design of regulation which will have to take place in dialogue with the Equalities and Human Rights Commission, which we will take forward.
So trans women are not women in your view?
So we'll take Tony Maguire, please.